Hello and welcome to The Man Who Kept Dying. My name is Vincent Olivier. I am the author of the novel The Man Who Kept Dying, and I am the man who kept dying. I know I've been off YouTube for a couple of months, and you might be wondering, what have you been up to, Vincent? Well, in August, I took a month off. I was in the very privileged position to have no professional obligations whatsoever for a full month, and I took full advantage of it. And time just went very fast. Sunny weather. And with my wife, we also adopted a cat from the local shelter. Here's a couple of pictures. His name is Zénith, and is an old cat. Apparently, old cats, especially if they're black cats, because there's still a bit of superstition surrounding these cats, don't get adopted that quickly. Zénith had just arrived at the shelter just a couple of weeks before we went and visited. So we adopted him quite quickly. And ever since, everything's been fine, but there's a bit of an adjustment, of course, having a new animal in your household. And then came September, and September went very fast as well, for the simple reason that I launched a business, so I was very busy with all the paperwork surrounding that. And now I'm back to doing more videos for the channel, as well as doing promotion for the novel. And so the idea is to participate to podcasts in order to share my story, the story behind the novel, The Man Who Kept Dying, because as I've stated in multiple videos, it is inspired by my own life, most of the chapters in this novel, and it explores slices from my own life and mixes them with a complete imaginative story of what life on the other side could be like. So I had a podcast interview earlier this week, and I will pin that video as soon as it's available on this channel, so stay tuned on that front. And of course, I'm also doing the translation of the book in French, which is a lengthy exercise because, I'll be honest, yes, I'm using generative AI to help me with the translation. It saves me a lot of time, but there still is a lot that I have to polish and do multiple passes over just to make sure that it's accurate. And in any case, I will have to send the final French manuscript to a proofreader just to make sure it is top-notch before it is published. The advantage of doing so is that instead of reselling my author rights, I basically keep any royalty that will come from any sales of the French version for myself. And the good thing about royalties in a book is they're for life. So even when you sleep at night, if someone purchases a book, you get to have an amount of that royalty. Of course, it's not all about the money. It also is about sharing a story. And the reason I decided to write this novel in my life was a deep calling that I had to do so when I was younger, but also because I went through a near-death experience and it completely changed my perspective on life and death. So I went from fearing death to being comfortable with the notion of dying, and therefore wanted to share that important story with everyone, if you're willing to read it, of course. But we digress. The topic of this video is about lucid dreams. I don't know if you've ever had a lucid dream. Interestingly enough, it is a topic we covered in a podcast I was on this Wednesday, because the host did ask me about lucid dreams. As I mentioned, it was one of the chapters in the novel, The Man Who Kept Dying, is about a lucid dream that I had. And in the novel, I've literally included the dream as it happened to me. Maybe a couple of very minor modifications just for the benefit of the story, but nothing more than that. And we ended up talking about lucid dreams. And it's funny because I had planned to do and to record this very specific video about lucid dreams today. So if you listen to the podcast, you might hear a bit more explanation about lucid dreams in this specific video. Lucid dreams. Have you ever experienced one? I think some people are natural at experiencing lucid dreams and others are not. Personally, I didn't come across the notion of lucid dreams until I was in my teenage years. Before that, I would have intense dreams because I have a lot of dreams and I receive a lot of information through my dreams. but I would be very much passive in my dreams. By that I mean that I'm an active participant, but I feel like I've got no control. So if I'm being chased, I'm being chased. I don't feel like I can do anything about it, so I'm just running away from whatever situation I'm trying to run away from. If it's a good situation, I'm just living that good situation, but I don't feel like I've got much control. So how did I get to experience a lucid dream for the first time? Well, I was at school, and one of my friends one day was explaining to our group of friends that he had read an article about the possibility of realizing that you're in a dream and taking control of the dream, and that it was called lucid dreaming. We found the idea fascinating, and he explained to us that in the article a little method or protocol was given so that you can try to do it yourself. He explained to us that it's pretty simple. Basically, every night before you go to sleep, there's only one thing you need to try to do, is to focus your mind and your attention on the desire to experience a lucid dream. So I thought the idea was fascinating and I wanted to give it a go. The first night, as I went to sleep, I was telling myself, I want to have a lucid dream, I want to have a lucid dream, I want to have a lucid dream. Fell asleep, woke up in the morning, nothing particular had happened. The second night, it was the same. And that friend had told us that he was trying it, but he did not get any result. So every day we were talking about it. Oh, did you get us something? Or did you manage to have a lucid dream? Nope, nobody managed to. On the third night, I managed to have a lucid dream. The dream was very simple for me, at least. Essentially, I was on a military ship, and there were lots of military staff on that ship, and they were all like, having rifles or guns guarding the ship. And for some reason, I was undercover, a bit like a secret agent. And I had to remain in stealth mode in order not to be seen by the military people or the guards. And I'm in a flight of stairs. Imagine it's on a ship. It's moving a bit, all metallic stairs, that sort of like light grey paint. And as I go up the stairs, the flight of stairs, I notice like there's a door, and the door slides open and two guards basically just move outside. And they see me, despite me being very cautious, not being seen. And they start running after me. I'm like, okay, so I run up the stairs trying to avoid them. And suddenly I realize one thing. Actually, I'm in a dream. I'm in dream state. I'm dreaming. This is not my reality. My reality is that I'm not a secret agent, or I'm not an undercover agent, and I'm way too young to actually be doing that. Anyway, I'm in a dream and realizing that. That's the first important step to lucid dreaming. You have to realize that you are in a dream. From there on, it is very possible that you wake up at that moment of realization, because something like will clash with your logic or with all the dreams you've had for however many years you've spent on this planet. So the lucid dream could wake you up. It's important to try to stay in a dream state and stay calm within a dream state. For me, it did not wake me up. I was just thinking, I'm in a dream, I'm being chased. The first thing I need to change as a parameter in that dream, because I'm dreaming, is I don't want to be chased anymore. And all of a sudden, the ship became empty. I was the only one on it. So I could walk around and discover that environment without being chased by anyone. And it was nighttime, nothing was happening. So I thought, now that I understand that I can influence my environment, I would like to change it. So I don't really fancy being on that military ship in the middle of the night and the ocean. I want to be on a nice sunny beach. Instantly, I find myself on a nice sunny beach. Don't know where I am, but I've just created that. And that's the beauty of lucid dreams. They can be tailored to whatever your imagination allows you to do. So your only limitation is yourself. And then I could make people appear or disappear or change their appearance. Basically, I had total control over the dream. I got so excited by all the prospects and the capabilities that all of a sudden I was discovering that I woke up. But the next day, of course, I went to my friend and said, hey, it happened to me, I managed to get it. And everyone was very curious about the story. I told them the story I've just told you. And I thought, like, that's it. I've unlocked the door to replicating that at will. So tonight, I'm going to have a lucid dream again. I went to bed, focused my attention on, I want to have a lucid dream just like last night. I can control everything. Nothing happened. And for another 14 days, nothing happened. And then I had another lucid dream. I don't remember the ins and outs of that specific, or that second lucid dream. But essentially what I realized is you can't really force it. There will come a moment where you have it or you don't have it. And it might depend on external factors as well. You know, how tired you are, if you're going to remember your dreams. Because it can be a bit taxing as well. If you remember all your dreams as I do, sometimes you wake up the day after being quite tired, which is logical. Your mind doesn't really shut down or rest during the night. So it depends. If you're used to dreaming a lot, as I am, maybe it will be a bit easier, as opposed to dreaming or remembering your dream less often. But the one thing I will tell you is that method, that little protocol, does really work if you want to apply it. Also, I don't believe there's any danger in practicing lucid dreaming. Some people can be a bit wary at times about, you know, should I do hypnosis, should I take psychedelics, because will I attach negative spirits and so on. It's a whole different topic. What I can guarantee you is with lucid dreams, you're pretty safe. It's only you. And if you find yourself facing one of your fears, so you're being chased, you know you can act on it and you can change that parameter, which I find is good fun to do. So yeah, lucid dreams, they're good fun. It can take a bit of time and practice before you get there. And even when you get there, you might not necessarily be able to change anything at first. It might just be a realization that, oh, I'm dreaming. And then you let the dream unfold. It is very much what is happening to me these days. Very often I would find myself realizing that I'm dreaming and just letting the dream happen and not change anything, but just be a bit more relaxed because I know it's a dream. So in a way, I'm just having fun with the story, like watching a movie and being the actor in that movie, but knowing that it's just a movie, it's not my real life. So what about this lucid dream story I've included in the novel, and why include a story, and why include the story of a dream in a novel? Well, the novel covers many topics, from reincarnation to time, to seeing life from different perspectives, to dreams, to events that have taken place in my life, such as, you know, car accident, car chase, snakes encounters, and so on, when I was a kid. That is chapter 12. I should know better, but where am I? Chapter 14, the multiverse. Chapter 13, the guides. And where are we? Chapter 12, a lucid dream. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it is a dream that I've literally barely touched and included in the story. I'm not going to tell you the full dream. If you want to know the full dream, I recommend that you read the novel, and within context it will make a lot more sense as well. I'm going to just step, for the purpose of the video, to the part of the dream that is the most interesting. The reason I've included this lucid dream, it is because to this day it is still the craziest lucid dream I've had. For the simple reason that in that dream, I was walking in a construction site. I was chasing someone. You can see a recurring theme there, but instead of being chased, I was the one chasing, in what was, in my mind, south of France. And then, as I'm chasing that person, the person goes through two big sliding doors on the construction site. So the only thing that seemed to be operational. And as I follow through the sliding doors, I find myself in a completely different environment, which is like the reception area or the entrance of like a big company, like almost like a bank or something like that. And as I'm wondering how I've changed environment so fast, I'm turning around, and the sliding doors, this time, instead of facing the construction site, I'm looking at a street in a big city that now very much looks like London, and the financial district of London, Canary Wharf. I see people walking by, wearing suits, very well dressed, and I just wonder, how is it possible that I've changed environment like that? What I also realized within the dream is, well, actually, now I can't go back. So I can't go back to the construction site, I can't go back to south of France, I have to stay there. My attention focused back on the person I was chasing, but I've lost track of that person. So on my right, I see some elevators and some escalators. So I choose to take one of the escalators and get a better viewpoint of the reception area. And as I arrive onto that semi-circular balcony that gives you a heightened viewpoint on the reception area, logic kicks in. And it's impossible in real life, by just going through a set of sliding doors, to find yourself in a completely different environment, let alone a different country. So I'm realizing that I'm in a dream, but I'm still a bit unsure. And for me, the only way to know for sure is to jump from the balcony. Worst case scenario, I'm not in a dream and I will hurt myself, but perhaps not too badly. Best case scenario, I'm in a dream because none of it is making sense, and therefore I will not fall. So I jump off the balcony, and of course I'm not falling. Actually, I'm floating in the air. So that confirms to me I'm in a dream. Great. So I can fly now. So I move myself in the air. Nobody's paying attention around me. It's like everyone is very robotic. So imagine in real life you would see someone floating in the air. You would react, wouldn't you? I decide to land down on the reception area, and realizing that I'm in a dream and that I'm lucid dreaming, I think that I'm not going to go back to south of France or the construction site through the sliding doors. I might as well explore my environment, and I want to go to the top floor of the building, and the quickest way to do it is to take the elevator. I approach the elevator, and it's not a normal button that you can press. You sort of have to gesture your hand in front of a scanner or a little scanning device. The doors of the elevator just slide open. As I step inside the elevator, I have the shock of my life in dream state, because I'm not seeing my own reflection in the mirror of the elevator. Understand that I've had dreams before where I've seen myself not being myself in the mirror. So I look in the mirror and I see that I'm a different person. I'm a different man, I'm a different age, or I'm a woman, but I'm still human. So I'm used to not necessarily seeing myself in the mirror in dream state. But this is the first time I'm not seeing myself as a human. And it's quite a big shock to the system. So I recoil, take a couple of steps back, and I'll start getting really panicky at the vision I'm having. And I remember precisely at that moment my breathing accelerating, and remembering that I'm under my duvet in my bed and that I'm about to wake up. And there's that voice in my head that says, don't wake up, don't wake up. It's important you stay in the dream. So just control your breathing, calm it down, breathe slowly, and get back into the dream, which I do. So I managed to get back exactly where I left the dream. Now I'm a bit reassured that, okay, I'm in a dream, I'm seeing myself as an alien. So I walk closer to the mirror and I see this tall, very muscular, very bulky, square face, green skin, no hair, small nose, small ears, very tiny mouth, and very dark eyes, alien being. And it's quite interesting because the first reaction I have is, well, maybe the mirror in the elevator is just a trick. Essentially, it takes your own image, but it projects something different. So it could be like technology that does that. So I look at my hands, and my hands are green. I'm not seeing my human hands. So I'm seeing these green hands with very square type of fingers. I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm in the body of an alien. How? I don't know. I approach the mirror and I start really touching my face, thinking, oh, wow, that's fantastic, because really, this is it. The mirror is really reflecting every one of my action. And I start to smile and I start to laugh at the situation. Until in that dream, there's another being that comes behind me. He's a very big, even taller than I am, alien, and says to me, I don't think you're supposed to be there. And for me, I'm supposed to be there. Okay, I'm the alien, what's wrong? So that being said, what color am I? And I look in the mirror at his reflection and I say, well, you're green. And he says, now what color am I? As he says so, his skin starts changing color like a chameleon. And it shifts between red, green, yellow, orange, and it settles onto a light blue. He says, now I want you to do the same. And I think I'm in my dream state, so it's going to be quite easy. So I try to change color, but nothing happens. And all of a sudden I realize that, well, maybe I have the capability, but I don't remember exactly how I'm supposed to do that. So what happens next is that the big alien being, realizing that I shouldn't be there, starts to have a fight with me. If you want to know the outcome of that fight and the end of the story about the dream, I recommend you read the chapter in the novel, because it will all be described there. But the little hint I can give you is that the dream ends well for me, because of course I woke up. Anyway, if you've had lucid dreams, please share your experiences. I hope you also enjoyed, have a bit more insight about one specific chapter in the novel. As I've said during the video, lucid dreams, I don't think there's any problem or any risk in doing them. There's a simple method to try to get to lucid dream state. And if you apply the method and if you're successful at it, just let me know in the comments below, and also share if you've had lucid dreams. What was the first lucid dream you had and what parameters you could change, or what you decided to change, or how it unfolded for you once you realized you were having a lucid dream. I think dreams are fascinating. Personally, I receive a lot of information through my dreams, information from the spirit side, and just things I need to know about life, generally speaking. To conclude this video, I would also like to mention that in my personal opinion, you have dreams, then a bit more conscious are lucid dreams, then a bit more conscious is astral travel, which you can do in meditative state and find yourself in another place or location, but you're still very aware that you are meditating. I've done that. I could do another video on that maybe, on that specific topic maybe. Then you would have near-death experiences, which I don't recommend to anyone, but having gone through one myself, it literally takes you to the other side. The only problem being like your health is in great danger. And then the top one would be out-of-body experiences, or OBEs. And with the OBEs, you're not in a risky health situation. And I believe some of my dreams are sort of oscillating between lucid dreams and the OBE state, because very often I would be conscious that I am in dream state, but it's not really a dream. It's more like I'm in a different environment that I'm very familiar with, and in which everything is very physical as well. So I'm just not very conscious of being outside my body, and I tend to assimilate this as a dream. So at the moment, I'm working on that during nighttime, just to try to understand if it's OBE or if it's lucid dream. So there might be a fine line that gets you from one to the other. If I find out, I will let you know, of course. There will be more videos to come on the channel, because as I've explained, I'm just resuming the videos, and we will continue to cover topics from the novel, and the next ones will be in no particular order, about time, about reincarnation, about enlightenment, and I would also like to do a video that's not related to the novel itself, but that will be about helping souls cross to the other side, as it is a topic on which I've had a lot of experience in past years, and also talk about negative spirits and what they are to me, and what you can do if you encounter negative spirits in your life. Hope you enjoy the content. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video as usual, and you know the drill. Until next time, be conscious, my friends.